طيب, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome everyone to Quality Management, and this is the course where we cover the total quality management in this course, and we cover also the quality management for both sectors, manufacturing and service. When we talk about the quality in general, uh, different people, they have different opinion about the quality, and as we can say, customers' perspective about quality, they are different. That's why is one of the reason there are different quality definitions. If we define the quality, we will not find one unified and one agreed quality definition. As you can see here, people can think about quality in terms of consistency, in terms of perfection, um, uh, eliminating waste, the fast of the delivery, handling the compliance or the problems in the customer relation. All these is affecting the definition of the quality, and therefore individuals have different perspective or speak different language in terms of the quality. And that's why we have different based where the quality definitions came from. We would see now some of the quality definitions, but some of those definitions we can relay on these 5 principles where the quality definitions came from. The first one is the transcendent definition, which is unboundaries or المطلق اللي هو level of excellence, مستوى التميز. Product based, if we're talking about the product now, regardless if you are using this product or no, the definition will be that time will be the quantities of products attributes, خصائص وسمات هذا المنتج. User based, now we are talking about something you interact with that product, you are interacting with that service. So now the user based definition would be the fitness for intended use. So التقديم أو الخدمة أو المنتج يعطي الشيء المطلوب منه. Value based definition, now we talk or we consider the element of the cost. And the element of cost is very important in the quality. But as you can see, it comes in one dimension when we talk about the value-based definition. If we consider it in the product, the value for money, مدى جدوى يعني المنتج من الناحية المالية. And the last principle is the manufacturing-based definition, and this is only for the manufacturing, the conformance to specifications اللي هو يعني الوصول أو تحقيق المواصفات يعني اللي هي كانت موجودة في الستاندردز ولا في الديزاين. So now the philosophers ولا definitions of quality came from these principles, and as you can tell, each scientist or philosopher has defined the quality differently, but if you go back to those principles, you will see they are matching somehow. For example, the Philip Crosby quality is conformance to requirement. And here, if you look back, you can see the manufacturing-based definition is the most fit, or if we are considering the user-based definition, if it's the conformance to the requirement. Deming has a quality definition or definition for the quality integrated more than one principle. If we look to the definition of Deming, Edward Deming, quality is a predictable degree of uniformity, and uniformity here we talk about you don't have much of variability, you have consistency. And dependability, here one of the features that you are considering as a part of the quality dimension, اللي هي dependability, somehow the reliability at low cost. And here also is integrating the cost or the value of money in the definition and suited to the market. suited to the market means that suit to the needs and the requirements. So if we go back to the principles and we see, he mentioned the value-based, he mentioned the fitness for intended use, also the conformance to specification. So he integrated more than one principle of the quality definition in his definition. Juran, on the other side, that was basically the fitness for use and the purpose, which is more here, fitness for intended use. So mainly Juran definition relying on the user-based definition. So here, these principles, we can say that the definitions came from these principles, in addition to the 8 dimensions of quality that we already talk about them in another lecture. If we continue with the philosophers, Montrebois, quality is a synonyms with customer needs and expectations. Again, you will find that is meeting the user-based principle, or also the manufacturing of the specification. But the expectation more of the intended use is not really requirements that set, like Mike Robinson was very specific here compared to the previous definition. Here is meeting the requirements, which is here focusing on the customer or the conformance to specification. At the end, or the last definition, or we can say that the definition where it was the key to the total quality management definition is the last one, Armand Feigenbaum. He defined the quality based on define the total quality management, or give this principle of integrating more than one principle in the quality, and all of them in the organization, how they perform. For example, in the previous examples, we considered that the product or the service or the delivery, but here it goes beyond to that level, to the level where even how the organization will be integrated with each other based on the quality. And we go to the definition and see that how he mentioned it. Quality is the total composite product and service. So he mentioned both the product and the service, characteristics of engineering, marketing, so designs, specification اللي هي characteristics of engineering زي اللي هي attributes of the products or the service, marketing, manufacturing and maintenance, which the product and service. طبعا هنا maintenance for the service is like similar to the customer care, which the product and service will will meet the expectation of the customer. So it's more integrated, it's more comprehensive, and that's lead us to the next step of the quality, which is the total quality management. The total quality management has an 8 principles where in any organization, if they are planning to implement the total quality management, or اللي هو بنسمع عنه التميز المؤسسي, organizations excellence, they have to consider these 8 principles in their implementation. In quality control previously, and also in the quality improvement that we cover in other courses, the quality in that topics or in these courses is focusing on a very small niche in the process, like standardizing the process, reducing waste, reducing defects, like in the quality improvement, how you continuously improve the process. But we didn't consider, for example, the strategic plan of the organization. We didn't consider the marketing, the employee in the organization. So that's why this is one of the principles considered to be as a part of the total quality management. In the quality control, we focus only on the statistical process control, how to maintain process stable, how to measure the capability of the process, the centering of the process, And this is also a one element or one principle of the total quality management. So the total quality management in overall, we can say that can be summarized as a management system for the customer focused organization that involve continuous improvement of the process. It uses strategy, data, and effective communication to integrate a quality discipline into the employee and organization. So it's very comprehensive, considering both organization, customer, employee, in all the sectors in the organization, and how they communicate with each other. Those 8 principles, we will go over them one by one. First, we will go briefly and just explain each one of them, and then we will go with details, and some of them has some tools help to maintain or fulfill this principle under the concept of total quality management. Starting from the beginning, the first principle, focus on customer. The second one, employee involvement. There is a spelling here mistake. The third one, process-centered. The fourth one, integrated systems. The fifth, strategic and systematic approach. The sixth one, decision-making based on fact. And then we have communication. And the last one is the continuous improvement. If you recall, when we covered the quality control and the quality improvement methods, we covered only the principle number 8, which is the continuous improvement, and principle number 3, which is the process centering. And as you can see, how widely we cover many tools in those 2 courses, they are part of the big picture of the total quality management, or the big umbrella of the total quality. So let's start one by one. We will not cover all of them in this session. We will cover the first 4 today with details, and the remaining 4, we will cover them in coming lectures because it would require more details and more tools to be covered under each principle. So starting with the first principle, focus on customer and employee involvement, process centering, and integrated systems. These are the 4 principles that we will cover today in our lecture. So starting with the first one, focus on customer. Customer is the last call in the decision. In any organization that is based or driven from the customer perspective, as we say that it's a customer-focused organization, customer, he is the last call. It means that he is the one that gives the final decision. And any business that targeting to make profits at the end, so he has to consider the customer perspective, customer requirements, customer satisfaction. Also, in this principle, you cannot focus only on just going big in your ideas and having something that is innovative and looks distinguished than others. If you didn't consider whether this big idea going to satisfy your customer or no. I give you an example. Maybe you are going to open a coffee shop and you focus on the interior design and the furniture and the inside the coffee shop, but you neglected a major factors to the customer satisfaction, which is, for example, the taste of the quality or the cost of your products. So this is not going to guarantee that you are going to have a customer satisfaction at the end if you focus on some ideas and you didn't involve what are the factors that impact on your customers most. So focusing on the customer, that's why is the main and the first principle out of the 8 principles of the total quality management. The second one is the employee involvement. وجود الموظفين أو إنك أنت تشارك الموظفين معك. Employee is your first customer. As we talked first, focus on customer. Customer can be both external and internal. And since the employee is your internal customer, he is the first customer. He is the key to achieving your goals. You have to involve your employee in a secure environment, healthy environment, and drive the fear out of them, involve them in making the decision, give them the trust, train them, so you can implement the quality principle related to the employee, which will impact on your organization overall quality. أعطيكم أمثلة وأكيد يمكن اللي حضر معي قبل كده we have talked about some examples. You walk through some shops, representative or the employee over there working, he didn't serve you with welcoming, or maybe he is not expert in answering your questions due to the lack of experience or due to the lack of healthy environment in his organization. It will impact on the end customer as you as an external customer. فتدخل لبعض المحلات احيانا ممكن تلقى الموظف زي يعني ما هو على اطلاع كامل بالمنتجات اللي بيبيعها، يعني ممكن انت بتكون عندك معرفة اكثر منه، وهذا شيء خاطئ. يعني المفترض انه هو من ياخذك لتثقيفك عن المنتج حتى يعني يزيد رغبتك في شراء المنتج او تقديم الخدمة اللي هي مطلوبة، او الاستقبال قد يكون يعني بطريقة ما هي ترحيبية للعميل او الزبون. فهذا الشيء بيجي من وراء انه الجزء الخاص بالموظفين واشراكهم في القرارات واشراكهم في التدريب واشراكهم في بيئة آمنة ما فيها ثريتنج، فيها محفزات، فيها تدريب، التيم وورك، بيكونوا يشتغلوا كفريق. هذا كثير بيأثر على تعاملهم معك انت كعميل في الاخير او as an end customer. طيب this is the second principle. Now we will go more details on the first two, اللي هي customer, focus on customer and employee involvement, and we combine them both because, as we said, the employee is one of the customers, is the internal customer in the organization. لأنه if you don't have a happy employee, you will not have a happy client. ليش؟ أنت رحت لمكان واللي قدامك هو أصلا مو كاره المكان اللي هو شغال فيه. هل تتوقع إنه حيقدم لك خدمة بشكل إيجابي؟ أكيد لا، حتنعكس عليك أنت كعميل، بل ممكن يعمل الشيء بشكل غير صحيح أو غير متقن حتى يسبب سمعة سيئة للمكان، لأنه هو أصلا كاره المكان وينتظر يمكن لحظة أو فرصة حتى يطلع منه. ف both of those two, focus on customer and employee involvement, they are integrated here in the extra definition or extra explanation. Customer is a principal judge of quality، هو المقيم للجودة لا شك في الآخر. Organizations must first understand customer needs and expectation in order to meet and exceed them. قبل ما تبدأ محلك أو قبل لا تبدأ البزنس لازم تعرف إيش تطلعات العميل، إيش متوقعات العميل من this type of business or this type of product or service you are going to provide it to him or to her. طبعا you may say that the customers, they have different point of view, they have different perspective, as we mentioned from the beginning. That's true, but here is the how you study the market. What is the majority? What is the market share you are focusing on? هل انت انسان بالبزنس حقك تايب اوف بزنس بتنظر للاغلبيه ولا بتنظر على سيكتور معين، على مجموعه معينه لهم خصائص معينه قليل المنافسه فيهم، او على لا المعظم؟ فهنا بيكون دراسه الماركت، دراسه الجدوى، السيرفيز that you develop before you start your business. You can sense and measure what is the customer expectation, and also you are maybe a customer in that type of business، لأنك أنت ممكن بتعمل موديل أو business موديل أنت زبون فيها بشكل أو بآخر لو كانت مقدم مكان آخر، فحيكون برضو عندك الفكرة وإيش تطلعاتك فيها. Organizations must build relationship with customer. And in an organization, you are not just thinking to have a customer, you want to have a loyal customer. وهذا الهدف اللي محلو معظم الشركات. Any organization, this is what they want. This is their ultimate objective. To have a loyal customer means that the loyal customer, regardless of the time duration, he will be consistently coming and purchasing from you. He will be recommending other people to come to your business. He will invite people, or maybe give some gifts from your products to others just to share with them. So he is the one do some part of the marketing job to you. The loyal customers, أحيانا and sometimes that even if the prices increases, those loyal customers keep still purchasing from these organizations because they build a trust between them. Customer include employee and society. طبعا ممكن يكون الكاستمر as we said الموظف نفسه and also the society. And in the previous point, when we say that the customer must build relationship, organization build relationship with customers, here we talk about both, whether the external or the internal customer, employee or the external. The meeting or exceeding customer expectation, you need, as we say, to fully understand all the product and service attributes. Attributes معناها ايش؟ خصائص، سمات. ايش هي السمات في المنتج والخدمة اللي يتوقعها منك العميل؟ So you can meet this، يعني تحققها أو إنك تتخطاها حتى. So you achieve the satisfaction and loyalty of the customer. As we said, the customer can be external and internal, and there is something else, is the consumer. وفي عندي فرق بين الكاستمر and the consumer. يعني they look the same. And by the way, one person can be customer and consumer at the same time. But there are, in some points, the customer, he is not the same as the consumer. Fine. There are explanations here in the slides, but examples sometimes give things clearer. I will give you some examples. Fine. Let's say that I will give you a couple of examples from different perspectives. Toyota, Abdelatif Jamil. Abdelatif Jamil, he is a customer to Toyota company لأنها هي المانيفاكتشرينج. He is authorized dealer، هو في النهاية وكيل فقط. هو بيشتري، هو ما بياخذ الكارز، he is not getting for free. أكيد طبعا يعني بأسعار مختلفة، but he resell these cars again with a profit to you and me as a consumer. So he is a customer to Toyota, and we are a consumer and also customer to Abdelatif Jamil. But we are the consumer if we are purchasing those cars to us. لكن أنت لو كنت معرض أو store car shop وبتشتري من Abdelatif Jamil, so you are a customer. Okay? You are not consumer. لأنك أنت معرض الآن، معرض هتشتري السيارة، still you are going to resell it again to consumer. فأنت لو بتشتري سيارة من المعرض you have overhead prices from two customers، المعرض وعبداللطيف جميل. إنه وطبعا المانيفاكتشرينج، بس المانيفاكتشرينج somehow الأوفرهيد طبيعي لأنه هو اللي بيصنع أكيد يعني. لكن بتكون عندك overhead two prices from two different customers. طيب أعطيك another example easier. Let's say you are in the home and you have babies, okay, and those babies wear diapers. طيب normal يعني طبيعي، هذه طبيعة الحياة. فأنت responsible في الهاوس، they ask you to go and purchase those diapers from the supermarkets، الحفايض حق الأطفال. Now you are a customer, you are purchasing those, but definitely you are not going to use them. Someone else is going to use them. Who? The baby, definitely. So the consumer here is the baby. طيب هتقول لي طيب هنا كيف الكونسيومر if he's like a baby I will notice what is his requirements. ممتاز، جميل. أكيد some of the part of the observation it can come from the يعني parents، لكن في أشياء السكن، خصائص السكن مختلفة. الطفل النيوبورن، عمر الطفل، وزنه، خصائص هذه أكيد البيدياتريكس والمتخصصين بيكونوا عارفينها. So they can evaluate إيش هو البست فابريك اللي بيكون fit this age. بعض الأطفال بيكون عندهم حساسية في السكن، فبيكون عندك متطلبات مختلفة. So here is the requirements come from the consumer اللي هو في الأخير البيبي. But you as a customer, you are not going to use it. So here you are a customer, but you are not the consumer. You can be a customer and consumer where when you purchase a product or a service and directly you are the one who are going to use it. فزي ما قلنا, if you are going to purchase a car directly from the authorized dealer or from the auto shop, at the end, this car for you, so you are the customer and the consumer at the same time. So the consumer is the one really using that product. He is the end user. The customer can purchase it and resell it, whether resell it to make a profit or just give it to somebody else. He's the intermediate between them. You see what I'm talking about? For example, Amazon. Amazon is a customer. And you are the consumer. You are purchasing from Amazon. And Amazon is a customer to many suppliers. Many suppliers. If you go to Amazon or any online shopping website, they have suppliers, providers. And from those, they purchase these items and they resell it to you with a profit. So they are a customer, and you consider to be at the same time, when you purchase from them directly to use that product to you, you are the customer and consumer. But if you are purchasing makeup, for example, to your sister, to your mom, to your family members, وقالوا لك والله يا فلان بالله روح احنا ما نعرف كيف نستخدم المواقع هذه، انت يعني روح جيب لنا الشيء الغرض الفلاني. تدخل you go to the makeup division وطلبت الغرض الخاص بهم. Now you are the customer but you are not طبعا أكيد يعني إنك أنت ما حتكون consumer لأنه someone else is going to use this at the end. فهنا to distinguish between the customer and the consumer in some examples that I hope give you the differences between them. External customer, internal customer, as we said, if you are out of the organization, then you are an external customer. If you are employee, you are internal customer, because as we said, the employee, he is the first customer. He is the one help the organization to achieve their goals and make their end customers or consumers satisfied at the end. Okay, so moving on with focusing on customer-employee involvement. The employee, as we just end from the previous slide, the employee know their job best and therefore know how to improve them. You as a CEO or an owner for an organization, you are not the one behind the kitchen. You are not the one working on the process. You are not the one doing the sophisticated jobs. So the employee know these best and know how to improve them. Management must develop the system and procedures that foster participation and teamwork. لازم يكون عندي في المنظمة أو في الشركة أو في مؤسستي أو في المكان اللي أنا ببني فيه البزنس خاص بي أنظمة وطرق تمكن الموظف حقي، تمكنه من اتخاذ القرار، تمكنه من العمل الجماعي، من التعاون والمشاركة في اتخاذ القرارات وبناء القرار. ما نقول اتخاذ at the end, maybe he is not the one to make the decision at the end, but to make the decision. To make, not to take, to make the decision. على الأقل في صناعة القرار لازم يكونوا معاك في العمل هذا، الاجتماعات، العمل الجماعي. هذا يعطيهم حتى الترست and believe how they can improve this organization over and over. Empowerment better serves customers and creates trust and motivation. التمكين أفضل طريقة لإثارة الحماس عندهم إنهم هم يشاركوا بل يعطوا أكثر مما هو مطلوب منهم في تمكينهم باتخاذات الثقة وإعطائهم الصلاحيات teamwork and partnership must exist both horizontally and vertically. لازم يكون عندي في كل يعني المنظمة، سواء كان يعني we're working on the administration level, top management to intermediate management to lower management, or across the divisions, marketing department, sales, laborers, across all the sections, vertically or horizontally. Okay, this is the first two principles we covered today, is the focus on customers and the employee. As a part of the 8 principles of total quality management, you want to implement total quality management. Total quality management, you can see it in an examples as we said, اللي هي التميز المؤسسي, ISO, all of them in somehow they are going to require these principles in maybe different orders or different يعني ways, لكنها كلها مبنية على نفس these principles or relying on these 8 principles. Moving on to the third principle, process-centered. And I believe if you have taken with or you have watched the other videos in the quality control, or you have taken the course quality control, you're already familiar what is the process-centered. There it was discussed very deeply, and here today we will just go over it again. The process-centered maintain the process to meet the expectation or the specification, sorry, of the manufacturing. Customer provide the requirements, but at the end, the engineers who put these standards into specifications in the products or even the service. And that's why if we look to the picture here on the top, we can see the specification limits, the upper and lower specification considered to be the voice of the customer, and the voice of the process, where is the upper and lower control limits. And this is where your process should be maintained, centered, and in the middle between the upper and lower control limits, and also the upper and lower specification. So your process not shifted to either side. The wide of the distribution here is contained with the boundaries, is not shifted or out of the boundaries on either side. We will go briefly also more in the process centered, as we already discussed this part in depth in the quality control course. Integrated system. You have different systems in your organization. You have sales, you have accounting, you have finance, you have marketing, you have procurement. Divisions, as the organization gets bigger, as this division gets bigger and more. If you are implementing total quality management, you need to have vertical and horizontal integration of these divisions, and you implement all these principles across all the divisions in the organization, in their processes, in their standards, in their teamwork. Okay, so all of them, they have to be part of this. The process centered, we will go here in a little more details about the process centering. Is the process capability is the measure or the metrics for measuring the process centering, defined as the statistical measure of the inherent process variability لقياس التغير والتذبذب اللي بيصير في البروسيس، التايم دوريشن حق الدليفري، السمك حق البرودكتس، اللايت البرايتنس حق الجهاز. These specification as it gets varying between product to product, this is what we mean by the process variability, or our product and with different specification levels. You can use process capability to study and assess the ability of process to meet the specification. احنا بنستخدم process capability حتى نعرف هل العمليات حقتنا حتحقق مخرجاتها المواصفات المطلوبة. Does our process going to meet the specification? Does that process going to provide an output meet the specification? We use indices or index مؤشرات to calculate the process centering. Mainly we have the two famous CP index and the CPK index. CP and the CPK, they are both of them used to measure the process capability. The CPK focus on the centering of the process, how the process centered between the upper and lower specification, where the CP look for the deviation and the shifts in the process. We can calculate the CPK from the CPU and the CPL. The CPU is the CP upper and the CP lower, using the formulas here. The upper specification limits اللي هي الخصائص أو الحد الأدنى من المواصفات للproduct or the service, depend on the unit time, centimeter, gram. X bar is the mean and divided by 3 standard deviation. Standard deviation is from the process or the data collected. And after you calculate the CPU and the CPL, you choose the minimum of them, and this will be considered the CPK. The CP, on the other hand, shows the distribution can potentially fit inside the specification, how the process has a potential for meeting the specification. And we calculated based on the subtraction between the upper and lower specification divided by the 6 standard deviation. After you get the values, you have this table to evaluate the value, whether it's good or unacceptable or acceptable. If the CP value less than 1.33, that means is not acceptable. If it's between 1.33 and 1.67, then this is acceptable. And if it's greater than 1.67, that means it's good. CPK, if it's less than 1, that means not acceptable. If it's 1 to 1.33, that means acceptable. And if it's greater than 1.33, that means it's good and the process is centered. Okay? And for the integrated systems, as we said, in all organization system and process into one complete framework, enabling organization to work as a single unit. So all the units, all the divisions, they have to be integrated with each other and work to the same goals and communicate with them and implement all these principles of quality to their divisions and integrated with others also. This is an example of how these systems has to be integrated. For example, we have environmental system, safety management, energy, food management, information security, compliance management. All of them, they have to be integrated together in the implementation of the total quality management. The 5th principle, from here until the 8th one, we will not go in details. We'll just go briefly, and then in the next lecture we will continue with the details for each one of them. Number 5 in our principles, strategic and systematic approach. Any system or organization stands only because of the planning. Without plan, you cannot success in your business. You need to have a plan. You need to have a vision, a goal, mission to your organization. And through that, we will cover many tools how to establish this under the TQM. We will go in details for a whole lecture for the 5th principle of total quality management with more details about it. The continual improvement or the continuous improvement is the 6th principle, and this is, I believe, we have covered it in quality improvement methods, how you grow continuously, how you resolve the problem, how you have a systematic way to measure your performance, and how you improve the satisfaction of your customers as well as your employee. The 7th principle of total quality management is the decision making on a fact based. The people in the management should make the decision on a data-driven principle based. You don't make the decision based on just your emotion, just what you believe. You have also to involve, as we said, in making the decision, the employee, because they are the one who work in the front line. The eighth one is the communication. The total quality management rely on the communication in the organization to resolve the problems, to improve, to motivate, to achieve the goals. You have to have a system for communication. The communication is not just a word, it has to be a systematic. How the communication conducted between the students and the instructors, how the communication conducted between the department and the college, between the college and the university, between the marketing and sales in the organization, between the finance and the marketing, between the customers and the organization, has to have a written standards and policy. So you will follow it up, and any employee join this organization easily see how is the communication a plan or communication procedure and policy conducted in his organization. We will go over more details about all the remaining four principles in the coming lecture. This is for today only. I hope you enjoyed this journey about the TQM. We will cover the TQM in several parts. This is part 1, and I will see you in the coming parts.